Today we are looking at Slither Wing, Volcarona's prehistoric counterpart in the polar opposite form of the futuristic Iron Moth. Slither Wing here is a bug fighting type, meaning it has yet to acquire the fire typing that Volcarona is so commonly associated with. As a bug fighting type here, we have 5 resistances to bug, dark, fighting, grass, and ground, 3 weaknesses to fairy, fire, and psychic, and 1 4 times weakness to flying. Now, bug fighting is not a brand new thing. We've had this all the way since Generation 2 with the introduction of Heracross, and like Heracross, Slitherwing wants to be a physical attacker. So on that note, let's dive into the stat breakdown for Slitherwing. We have base 85 HP, 135 attack, 79 defense, 85 special attack, 105 special defense, and 81 speed. 81 speed is a pretty good speed tier here because you can do a combination of things. You can run it on either Trick Room or with Tailwind. You can patch it up with Tailwind to get faster. You can use a Choice Scarf if you want, or you can go 0 IVs into speed hindering nature, and then you could try to make it work on Trick Room. It might not be bad in either situation. Plus, you also get access to First Impression, which lets you bypass your speed stat too, because it is a pretty solid priority move. Now, one thing about this stat breakdown too is I do wish that the 85 special attack and the 79 defense were swapped, but unfortunately it is what it is. 79 is a little bit frail, but maybe if you wanted to run a elemental seed like the electric terrain seed or the grassy terrain seed, you could get a +1 to your defense that way as well. So what I was thinking of for our first moveset here was we could take advantage of our base 135 attack stat, combine that with a choice band and some hard-hitting moves. It's really straightforward, but you know, sometimes the most effective things tend to be the most simplest things. So what I was thinking here is Slitherwing gets a really good combination of moves here. So what I was thinking first was maybe we can go with First Impression. It's a base 90 bug type move. It has a higher priority than other attacks, so typically you would be going first, with the exception of whether Psychic Terrain is on the field and you're trying to hit something that's on said Psychic Terrain, or your opponent goes for Extreme Speed, which is faster than First Impression, or, you know, Fake Out. But First Impression is pretty nice because it hits harder than most priority moves. We can go with Close Combat with a base 120 fighting type stab. And that's the best part too about both Close Combat and First Impression. Both of these are stab moves for Slitherwing, so you're already looking at a 50% boost on top of the Choice Band, giving you another 50% boost right there. We could go Flare Blitz, which is a base 120 fire type physical move, or we can go Wild Charge, which is a base 90 power electric type move. And what I was thinking with Wild Charge specifically is you do have that 4 times weakness to flying, so Wild Charge can help you deal with opposing flying types if you really wanted to. Now you can terrestrialize into any of these types, but what I would keep in mind though is First Impression only works on the first turn, then you got to switch out to reset your choice band. So you could even go like maybe say not Wild Charge, Lunge, which is a comparable bug type move. You could go Lunge, which is a base 80 power move that's a guaranteed attack drop into the target. You could do that instead of First Impression if you're worried about, say, the priority game and maybe Psychic Terrain. Maybe you're worried because your opponent has an Indeedee on their team. You could do, say, Leech Life or Lunge instead of First Impression, because both of those are base 80 bug type moves. And some other options you do get that are hard-hitting moves for Slitherwing to look at. You can go maybe say Dual Wing Beat, which is a base 40 power move that hits twice. So maybe you go Terra Flying. Now you've got stab on your Terra Flying right there. Dual Wing Beat is now getting stab for each of its 2 hits, so you're looking at 60 per hit right there on top of a choice band. You're putting a pretty good dent into something. You can go Earthquake, base 100 ground type damage right there. You can maybe go Leech Life, as I said. You can go Low Kick. Low Kick does more damage the heavier the target is. Most steel types tend to be pretty heavy, so you could do that. Maybe instead of Close Combat, you want to go Superpower, but I would keep Close Combat because Close Combat, while it does lower each of your defenses, Superpower lowers your attack, so really I would keep Close Combat over Superpower. You could run Terra Blast too. Maybe say you have a really wild idea for a Terra type that you want. Terra Blast is base 80 power right there. Doesn't matter if you're physical or special because it'll do the type of damage for the higher of the two stats. That was really awkward, but whatever. You could go U-turn as well. U-turn is really nice because it's a switching move right there. So you could go with your U-turn and just get some good chip damage by doing a hit and run. So the options are there for a choice band for sure. Similarly enough too, between this one and the next set that I'm going to get into, I was thinking as far as your EVs go, you go 252 into both attack and speed. You can run an adamant nature or a jolly nature, but for this choice band I was thinking we take advantage of the 135 base attack, go full attack investment, hit that 205 with an adamant nature, and go for the choice band. But you could also go jolly if you wanted to too, especially if you're not running first impression. You could go jolly and switch it from 133 to 146, and 187 is still fairly respectable as well. So the second set I was thinking of is we just go Life Orb, take one of those 4 moves out, throw Protect in there. I have Lunge here, but First Impression would definitely work as well. Life Orb, the biggest difference here is while it's a little bit less power than what the Choice Band would be giving us, we do get to choose our moves. So we could even run First Impression instead of Lunge here. We could run Leech Life. I was thinking Lunge because it's a guaranteed attack drop, which is nice. And then we can run Flare Blitz, or we can even say run Wild Charge, take advantage of the fact that we do have a means of hitting flying types super effectively. And then really between Terra types here, we can go for Bug, we can go for Fighting, we can go for Electric, just to take advantage of the offensive benefits of Terrestrialization with this 135 attack. That's what I was thinking with the first 2 sets here. These are both really straightforward sets, so I'm not going to spend that much time on this Life Orb set because it's really fairly interchangeable with the Choice Band set. The main difference, though, is you can now choose between your moves and you slap Protect in there just to keep your longevity out there. So then, for some spice with these next 2, I was thinking we could go with Bulk Up. Bulk Up could be fun because now basically, as soon as you put 4 points into your defense, you hit 100 points. That's 50 after your first bulk up. So I was thinking you could do a combination of like maybe play to your attack and HP. Go on the physical side. 105 special defense is really nice naturally. But what you could do too is you could maybe even break it down into a combination and say run some speed investment into your Slither Wing. Maybe you want to run Jolly or Adamant. What I was thinking here is we get Flame Charge, which is a guaranteed speed boost. So we could go Bulk Up and then we could go Flame Charge, and now we're building up our physical stats, and Flame Charge is now going to build up our speed. This thing also gets access to Trailblaze, which is basically the same thing as Flame Charge, but a grass type option. So if you want to hit like maybe say water types, you can do that. But I was thinking Flame Charge and Leech Life together because Steel would wall out you by having Leech Life there. So I was thinking Flame Charge can at least hit the Steel types that way. But maybe you want to go Trailblaze and then hit rock types or something like that. Maybe ground types are giving you a trouble. Maybe like say a bulky ground type is giving you trouble. You could go Trailblaze too. The option is definitely there. Now, this is a little bit of an awkward thing too, because unlike Iron Moth, Slither Wing does get access to Will-O-Wisp, which is really nice. So you could even run Will-O-Wisp as a little bit of like some support tech on Slither Wing there, and burn some physical opponents there. Now you're kind of patching up your physical defense that way too. Because, you know, burn is great. Burn just reduces the the amount of damage you're going to take by, you know, burning them. And also, they also take a little bit of chip damage, which is nice. You could maybe run, like, say, Bulk Up and Morning Sun with Leech Life. Morning Sun, it's basically a set amount of HP that you get back, depending on whether or not you have weather on the field. If you have no weather, I'm pretty sure it's a 50% HP recovery. If you have sun on the field, I think it's something like 75 to... I don't think it's 100%. I think that's too strong. I think it's 75% when Morning Sun has sun active. And then, say you have snow, rain, or sand, it's like a 25% HP back. But I was thinking, too, Morning Sun could be nice, whereas Protosynthesis, you know, the ancient Paradox Form's ability, does kick in when Sun is on the field. So you could keep that in mind. And one thing I do want to touch on, because remember how I said you might want to patch up your defense at the very beginning of this with either, say, an electric seed or a grassy seed? Well, you would be consuming your item right away, but this thing does get acrobatics, so on a bulk up set, you might be able to justify getting away with acrobatics. And now, keep in mind too, you could also just use a booster energy to immediately gain your item being consumed and getting either a speed boost or an attack boost. Except here's the one awkward thing about Slither Wing. Just the way how its stats break down, you'll always have lesser HP or speed than attack. Now you kind of have to mess with your IVs into your attack stat if you want to get a speed boost. So let's just remove this for a quick second here, just for case in point. With a Jolly Nature, we hit 146. With a non-attack boosting nature, we hit 187 with that attack stat. So you kind of have to mess with your IVs to ensure that you get a speed boost with booster energy. So if you wanted to run acrobatics, don't run booster energy. Run one of the train seeds, put a little bit of investment into your physical defense, and then you can maybe say go for your bulk up. Now, if you wanted to run, say, acrobatics, you could do that. Right now, the only train setter that gives you a physical defense boost with its seed is Pinkerton, because grassy terrain and electric terrain, they both boost defense, where psychic and misty terrain raise special defense. So, unfortunately, Rillaboom's not in the game. Or fortunately, I guess, depending on whether or not you had a good time dealing with Rillaboom in Generation 8. But as of right now, if you want to try doing something like that, you could maybe say, run your electric seed, have Pinkerton, go for bulk up, get a +1 into your defense. There's a 50% boost right there, and maybe you can try something like that. Anyways, guys, that's my main thoughts on Slither Wing, the crawling version of Volcarona. It's actually kind of a little bit more similar to Larvesta, which is kind of neat. Because, you know, Larvesta and Slither Wing both kind of just crawl. But, yeah. Anyways, it's before Slither Wing decides that it wants to take to the air like Volcarona and eventually Iron Moth. But anyways, I've rambled on long enough. Let me know in the comments down below what you think of this bug fighting type. And also let me know if you've tried it down there. I will see you next time.